So you've just had your brand new 10 to 20,000 pound solar and battery system installed and everything's great. You're really happy with it. It's working well. But a few months go by and you start to notice some problems. Who do you call? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about support, and more importantly, who do you talk to and what kind of response do you get when something's not quite as it should be. So as I said in the intro, you have had your system installed, everything's been running fine for a few months, but you start to notice something's not quite right. Now who do you call? Your installer? The manufacturer? Well, that depends, because some installers have really great support. Some have none at all, and some have gone out of business. So you may have no choice. You may have to go direct to the manufacturer, and that's where you might run into problems. Let's head into the garage. Let me tell you the story of my interactions with SolarEdge support, and then I want your opinion. I want you to help me force the manufacturers to get better at supporting our systems. Let's head inside and I'll tell you more. Ignore this. This is for another video. So hidden away in my garage behind the exercise bike is my 10 kilowatt SolarEdge inverter and 3 SolarEdge batteries comprising approximately 27 kilowatt hours of storage. Now, I've had these for a few years. 99% of the time, they run absolutely fine. No problems whatsoever. But occasionally, and I would say initially it was about 3 or 4 times a year, now slightly less, this particular battery, the one in the middle, just stops working. And I get no alarms from SolarEdge. I get no indication in the app. So how do I know it's not working? Well, as most of you know, I use Home Assistant, and Home Assistant talks directly to the devices using something called Modbus. It's just a communications protocol. But it lets me see the state of the individual batteries, something you can't do with SolarEdge's own software. And what I noticed was all of a sudden the percentage state of charge across the whole system would fluctuate wildly. And the reason was one of the batteries had just turned off. Now again, as I said, no indications whatsoever other than through Modbus into Home Assistant. So I started gathering data, log files. When was it happening? Was there anything that I could point to that would indicate what the problem was? I reached a point where there was nothing I could do. The only way to get the battery back online was to physically flip the breakers inside the battery unit, turn it off for a few seconds, turn it back on, let it re-establish itself, and everything would work fine for another month or two. Now, after a while, I got sick of this. So I reached out to my installer. They, to be fair to them, for a very small company, did a great job. They were responsive. They said, hey, yeah, no problem. We'll get in touch with SolarEdge. And then I followed up with them a week later. We haven't had a response from SolarEdge. I followed up a week later. We haven't had a response from SolarEdge. So they gave me a WhatsApp number, because apparently we've all decided that WhatsApp is now the way that we're going to access support from vendors. And I was able to get in touch with SolarEdge. And SolarEdge went, we can't see any problems. So I sent them all of my log files. I sent them screenshots from my Home Assistant, and they still refused to acknowledge that there was a problem. And then they said, we're going to close the ticket. Oh no, you're not, said I. After a few rounds, I finally got through to somebody a little more senior who said, we'll take a look at it. And they claim they made some change to the battery management software. And to be fair to them, the problem appeared to go away. Now it only resurfaces once or twice a year. Should I have to live with that? No. Am I willing to live with it? Well, I kind of have to, because they're saying there's nothing else they can do. They can't see a physical problem with the battery. Now, I've worked in IT for many, many years. I know support has a cost. But what I'm starting to see, and I'm specifically talking about my experience with SolarEdge here, is that their support mechanisms are anti-consumer. Their default answer is, you've got to go and talk to your installer. Well, if it's a software problem inside the system, the installer can't do anything about it. So therefore, they're just becoming a middleman in the process and slowing everything down. And let's be clear here. A solar system isn't like your oven or your microwave or some other domestic appliance that's gone wrong. Every single day that your system is offline is costing you money. So it's not just the inconvenience factor, it's the fact you're now having to buy electricity at prime rates when the sun's shining. So support in the solar industry needs to get better. Now, the comments in my videos have been filled up recently with people saying, this vendor's all rubbish, they don't do anything, it takes months and months and months to get anything resolved. I have a solution to that. We're going to come to that in a minute, so bear with me. But before we get to that, let's talk about how heat pumps are supported. So this is my Daikin heat pump. This was installed almost 2 years ago by Octopus Energy, and I've had no problems with it. But I have a bit more peace of mind than I do with my SolarEdge system, because I pay Octopus £9 a month for a maintenance contract for this. Now, I still have the manufacturer's warranty, that lasts another, I think it's another 5 years, but I pay Octopus £9 a month, and that gives me two things. It means if this stops working, I put in a phone call to Octopus and they send somebody out within 24 hours to resolve the issue. And then once a year, somebody comes around, gives it a cursory once over, checks everything, refills any coolant or any problems with the system, they take care of it, give it a service, and that sets me off for the next year. Now, is that something we should have in the solar industry? Having somebody that you can pay a small amount of money to, who, when something goes wrong, will be on it and can get access to all of the technical information about the system and resolve your problem quickly. Okay, so I need your help. I think it's about time we stop sitting back passively and allowing some manufacturers, and it is just some manufacturers, to be anti-consumer and shirk their responsibilities under the warranty. So what I'd like to do is to take the pulse of the customer base. And the way I'm going to do that is I've built a tier list. So if you head across to my website, jonathantracy.com/question, link on the screen below, you will see this. This is a tier list. And along the bottom, you will see what I think are the top 10 vendors of inverter and battery solutions. Now, I can't include every manufacturer there. I deliberately didn't include Give Energy because I didn't want Give Energy all the Give Energy customers going, well, I don't get any support. So if your vendor is listed there and you have experience of them from a support perspective, put them on the tier list. If they are world-class, absolutely doing it, drop them into S tier. If they're really, really poor and not delivering, put them down at E. But put as many vendors as you have experience with into the tier list. And as we get more and more people responding, it will give us a sort of pulse of what everybody is thinking. So yes, there will be some people who will put a vendor that they don't like into E just for giggles. But over the course of a number of responses, if we can get a few hundred or even a few thousand responses here, we'll be able to get a picture of which vendors really do live up to their support agreements. And then I will start taking them on, because I think it's unacceptable. I've seen so many comments about certain vendors that are just taking months and months and months to resolve a simple RMA. So head over to the website, let me know what you think of each of the vendors. Once we've got enough information together, I'll come back to you with a plan of action. With that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you found this useful. I really, really would like to get your feedback. Again, I'm not collecting any information about anybody. You don't need to put an email address or anything like that in. All you need to do is to drag the vendors to the appropriate point in the tier list and hit that submit button. With that, I'm going to sign off. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful. And if I'm lucky, I'll see you back here real soon after the rainstorm for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.